Oh, we're good. Hello and what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Again, I'm trying to do this every single day. It's not easy coming up with video ideas. Actually, it is. Anyway, we're gonna get some cancer videos coming up because there's a lot of cancer heroes in the patch right now, and I want to do a guide on them so you guys can gain that free MMR before they get nerfed. I don't know when that is. It might be next week. It might be a month from now, but get your MMR while you still can. This video is going to be on LICH if you have read the title. And so I'm going to be following Kuroki TI winner. This is their game against LGD. I believe this is the losers semifinals or something like that. I mean, does that really matter? I don't think so. And he will be playing LICH support mid, I believe. We're just going to start the replay. I don't know why it's still paused here. We're going to go at 1.5 times speed because Lich is a pretty slow hero. And that's one thing that you really need to keep in mind when playing the hero is not trying to do too much. You need things to stay chill. He is icy and you need to just chill when you're playing Lich. Don't go over aggressive and try to auto attack or right click to harass when you have no business doing so. And when I say you have no business doing so, I mean if there's any type of gank potential coming out from enemy supports or any of the enemy heroes. If you have any chance of dying, just chill, because what you can do with his ability here, and I'm going to take a while to explain it here. So sacrifice, it denies your creep, right? And I think most of you know that, but the big thing is it also gives you the experience, and it's a huge experience swing because that's 90 experience going to you, or if you're using it around a teammate, that will be shared. But ideally you want to just walk back and deny the creep so you get the solo experience, because this kind of is important that you get your levels up, because you want to get at least 2 points in sacrifice, and what that will allow you is to deny a creep every single wave pretty much. And if you can do that, it is a huge experience swing. I don't know the exact numbers. Hold on, 30 experience per creep, 90 for the range creep. Fuck the math. Anyway, it's a huge experience swing. You get pretty much double the experience from the lane than the enemy mid would, and what that allows you to do is incredible. Is it pretty much shuts down the enemy mid, force them to jungle or do whatever, or not even just the mid, right? In this scenario, it is the mid because he's laning at mid, but in any lane you're in, right? If you're in the off lane, shuts down their safe laner. If you're in the safe lane, which I think is Lich's weakest lane, because his options there aren't just the best, because he doesn't really want to pull. Again, the reason behind that is you're already pulling the lane back with the sacrifice, and if you try to pull the small camp, it will just allow the enemy team to pull the big camp and try to even out the experience difference. But in mid, you can't really pull mid anymore. I mean, there's still ways around it, and I might make some videos on that, but it's not really practical to do so anymore. And as a result, there's really nothing that maybe could do here on his Mirana. He just has to sit there and watch his range get taken away from him. And notice Kuroki's actually saving a skill point here at level 3, because he might decide to put a point into Frost Blast or Ice Armor, because his sacrifice is on cooldown anyway. But I would say if things continue how they are, he'll put 2 points in sacrifice and use it on the next creep. But for scenarios like that where there was potential kill attempt, maybe just being able to level 2 points in Frost Blast real quick for a kill will be worth it, because then he'll get a lot of the experience back at level 4, and then he'll be able to put 2 points. But as you see here, he does reach the cooldown ends, and he just levels up his sacrifice for level 2. And this is something, I think most people get this now by now on Lich, but I watched a game with Solo and he was doing this wrong. Well, where he actually just left his sacrifice on level 1, which was a thing before with Lich, where you do that, but with the change to how the sacrifice works, I don't think that's ever viable anymore, because pretty much means that to cast your spells, you're gonna have to eating melee creeps to get your mana up, and you always want to be eating range creeps, because that's a huge experience gain for you and experience denied for the enemy team. And that's the major key to this hero, is to make sure you're just eating the range creeps. Very difficult, right, everybody? But I've seen people get it wrong. Make sure you use the sacrifice on the range creep. It's pretty simple, but I don't think a lot of people understand how much a difference it makes. Anytime you get your ability up, you want to use it. And then the other key to Lich is to make sure you do not die. And notice Kuroki, he is 2-0 right now. Miracle ended up dying there, but he is positioning himself pretty safely, never in an overly aggressive position. So I feel like a lot of times Liches get like an experience advantage. They feel all gung-ho and they go in to try to harass to get like full efficiency out of their Frost Blast and get a couple right clicks in, and they end up getting ganked by like a Pudge or any hero rotating in. And for this game it would be the Kunkka or Shadow Shaman, right? And you never want to put yourself in that position because you're giving yourself an experience advantage with sacrifice. So as long as the game continues normally, like there's no kills happening, there's nothing crazy happening on either side, you're gonna just win the experience war. And in the game of Dota, that's a huge deal. Notice that Kuroki is level 4 at this point, and just pay attention to enemy supports. I guess Kunkka's actually doing well. Holy shit, he's 3-0 and 3. He's owning. But Miracle is definitely feeling it. Or not Miracle, maybe he is not level 6 yet. His farm is hindered significantly. And if you look at Miracle, on the other hand, I mean, he has 1 death, but he's farming a lot better. Let's open a net worth real quick to check it out. It's actually not too much better, actually. So that 1 death did hurt him a little bit, and he's definitely feeling the pressure from the Kunkka. And I'm just going, how you counter Lich is you kill him. Simple as that. He's pretty vulnerable, even though if you look how Kuroki's playing the game, he's really just sitting in the safest position possible. But if you're playing against a Lich that is a bit too YOLO and you notice that, if you're a roamer, a ganker, or anything like that, definitely gank the Lich. He's relatively easy kill. He's pretty slow until he gets boots, and it's free experience because usually the Lich has a bit of experience advantage, so you're gonna get a little bit more when you kill him. But anyway, this is how Lich gaming goes. The thing about the hero is he wants to stick in a lane. He doesn't want to leave it. So that's another way to punish the hero, as Kunkka has kind of done. Instead of ganking the Lich, if he's playing too safe, if the Lich is playing out of position, obviously try to kill him. But if he's playing too safe, like Kuroki is, just gank the other lanes. Lich doesn't really want to rotate to another lane. And notice that Kunkka right now has gotten a lot of kills on the map because Lich isn't really capable of moving around and responding to those ganks. So it's really up to GH to do so. And with that, Kunkka was able to just get a lot of kills on the map elsewhere, which is another way you can counter the hero. And as a Lich, I mean, it's kind of unavoidable. You just gotta let your teammates know where the ganks are coming from or try to ward for them. But ideally, you want to do exactly what Kuroki is doing and stick in a lane because your experience is important. You don't want to venture too far out of the lane because you actually want to share the lane experience with your carry most of the time so that you get your levels up fast. Because Lich isn't very useful unless he gets his levels up. And just notice what Kuroki is doing is, with this ability or skill build, he actually just has 1 point in Frost Blast, 1 point in Ice Armor, and Chain Frost. This is actually a very common skill build on Lich, as it pretty much allows you to sustain and stay in a lane. It means that you're not going to play aggressive, which a lot of times, unless the enemy team is messing up majorly, it's not going to work out too well. You'd rather just have more points of sacrifice and up your experience gain later and deny more of the enemy experiences and farm. But in certain scenarios, I can see you going a mix of a build with 2 points in Frost Blast, maybe 2 points in Sacrifice, or sometimes even multiple points in Ice Armor, depending on the game. Lich does have a variable skill build depending on the game, but in a safe game like this, where he's just trying to support Morphling and protect him to the best of his ability, this is the correct skill build. So from this point on, as a Lich, you're just buying wards and supporting your team for the most part, unless for some reason you're playing like off lane or 4 position Lich, which, I mean, can be good but can be bad. I think his best position, of course, is full 5 position ward buyer because he does so much with really little items. Chain Frost is super strong in team fights against certain enemy lineups that don't have ways to escape it or avoid the damage, and it can just be game winning. especially in like the Rosh pit area against heroes like Troll and Ursa that want to go for Rosh solo. You throw Chain Frost in there and it pretty much seals their fate. Anyway, from this point on, I'm going to skip through the replay a little bit. I don't want this video to be too long. It's already 10 minutes, and I just want to actually get to the late game. So we'll skip forward a little bit here and look at Kuroki's skill build and how he plays the game. So from this point on, I mean, he stopped leveling up sacrifices. I think 3 points is enough. 4 points is kind of overkill. The only reason I would ever put 4 points if there's a lot of fighting, and you still want to deny range creeps, of course, and you just won't get enough mana from them. So 4 points will fix that because it actually increases the health conversion, so you get enough mana from just the range creep. But it looks like this game is relatively slow. They have a Morphling who wants to farm, and 3 points is just enough for now. And he does have 4 points in Frost Blast. Sometimes you want to just max out Ice Armor for Frost Blast, but I think in this game, I'm not so sure why he didn't, because PA's physical damage is pretty significant, and having that 4 points would be pretty useful on heroes like Morphling and Necrolite. But I guess he thought 2 points was enough, and he rather just have a little bit of extra nuke damage, especially for heroes like PA, where maybe physical damage isn't enough to take her out because of her mischance or dodge. Anyway, let's speed through and see a team fight real quick so I can talk about that. I'll go to regular speed, but at this point, notice that they garnered a huge advantage with the Lich, and with that they're able to just run down the lanes. Let's say Miracle didn't have a Lich in his lane, he wouldn't have been able to get so much farm protection out of the mid lane, and Lich is the best support for dual lane mid. One of the best, I guess. Io would be up there as well, but they kind of provide different roles. Io really just pumps up the mid laner with regen, while Lich denies the experience and makes sure the mid gets an advantage in terms of experience and farm. And at this point, Kuroki is pretty much just an Ice Armor. He will nuke sometimes in fights, maybe once or twice, at most probably once. And the Chain Frost is something you always gotta look out for. You don't want to just throw it randomly, as he just does that there. He just wanted to make sure they had enough damage, but the damage didn't even connect. But keep in mind, one thing about this ability, it is actually a really low cooldown, and I'm not casting a pilot aim or going over a pilot eye game right now, but if you noticed in that game with C9, pilot eye actually just casted a bunch of Chain Frost on creeps, and people like flame him for that. It looks clowny, but it actually is relatively low cooldown. And as I said, the ultimate can all be game changing in a team fight, but it also can absolutely do nothing against certain heroes that can just escape it. Heroes with mobility, or like force staffs or blinks or anything like that, they're gonna be able to avoid the Chain Frost, and it's gonna be pretty much worthless in a team fight. It's a little bit of damage, and that's all. So using it to just push out a creep wave is okay, because it takes you a while with just Frost Blast to actually clear a creep wave, just because your attack speed is pretty slow, and you'll need 2 Frost Blasts to clear the creep wave, and you don't want to stand around for that long. And you can throw a Chain Frost and just let it go, clear the creep wave, and push the lanes. And pushing the lanes in is pretty important as a support, and being able to do it remotely, even though you are costing an ultimate to do so, sometimes is just a necessity when your team can't really push the creep waves out safely, or they're dead or something like that. I think it's legitimate to actually throw Chain Frost at creep waves, because that's the big change that made Lich a lot better hero. Is his Chain Frost is on a very low cooldown now, even at level 1, and at level 3 it's 60 seconds. So at that point, throw it at creep waves or like Ancients to your heart's desire. It can increase your farm, because again, as a Lich, you're not really farming at all. Notice it is almost 30 minutes in the game, and Kuroki only has 10 last hits. So to recap, as we watch the game end in front of our eyes here, Lich is really strong in lane, but you have to chill the fuck out, and don't try to do too much. Just keep eating range creeps and let the lane play out. Protect your carry when you need to, but unless for whatever reason the enemy team is just misplaying, or you can just take advantage of their mispositioning and you can get kills, then you go for it. Otherwise, if you're playing against good players, they're going to realize they're playing against the Lich. They're not going to play overly aggressive. They're just going to try to get as much farm as they can, and most likely rotate into the jungle, right? In that scenario, I don't suggest you playing overly aggressive with the Lich, especially at level 1, alright? If they realize that Lich is weakest at level 1, where he only has sacrifice, he's literally a glorified range creep, they're going to punish you for that. Make sure you play safe, don't die at level 1, and give anything back to the enemy team. Just deny the range creeps, it will pull the lane back, and you're going to get a lot out of it. In addition, the lane is pushing in, so when you deny the first range creep, the lane will be pushing into your carry or whoever is your lane partner. And if that's the case, they're going to be fighting against enemy creeps and the enemy team. So you really do not want to fight at level 1 with Lich at all. And for the same reason, you don't want to pull while your Lich is still level 1 at all, or pull with Lich, period. So that's why I don't think he's very good of a safe laner. If anything, he's good with heroes that can just like tank creeps under tower really well, like let's say Sven or something like that. But other than that, you would really want to avoid doing any of that with Lich. Sometimes you will have to go to the safe lane, but if you do, make sure you do not pull the small camp until your carry is strong enough to tank enemy creep wave. Because again, you're denying range creeps, which is your job, and it's correct to do so. But if you pull as well, it's going to force the enemy or the carry on your team to tank a lot of creeps, and it will also allow the enemy to potentially pull the big camp and try to deny a wave from your carry, which is not good. That's the key things for Lich in the laning stage. Now later on in the game, as far as taking team fights or just in the mid game in general, you want to try to cast your Frost Blast if you can, but don't get out of position to do so. Make sure that you Lich armor all your teammates is really important. Don't forget to Lich armor all of your teammates. That's really your only job, or most important job in the mid game to late game, because ice armor is really OP ability and you need to be alive to cast it. That's why you have to play really safe. Notice Kuroki only has 1 death in this game. You can play as far back as you want. Make sure your teammates are ice armored. Who cares Frost Blast? If someone dives in too deep, then cast the Frost Blast on them. Otherwise, forget about it. Don't even get out of position. It doesn't do that much. It literally does like 150 damage in AoE and 200 damage on the target. I mean, it's insignificant. And when you find the opportunity to throw your ultimate, but usually in the late game, enemies will have BKB, pipes or something like that, so your ultimate will actually fall off pretty hard, unless it's like when 2 heroes are like right next to each other on the Rosh pit. And you see here, Kuroki got a pretty good ultimate off and ends up winning the fight. But notice how patient he was with it. He waited until enemy BKBs expired or they were in position for him to get a decent ultimate off. Just be patient with the ultimate. Don't throw it too early. What you don't want to do is just throw it at the start of the fight and it bounces once and you just wasted your ultimate. And that's pretty much all you need to know about Lich. He's a pretty easy hero to play. Spam him for free MMR as a support right now. If you're a carry player, you know what you're doing as a support, but you're forced to play support because everyone else picked cores. Pick Lich, go to lane, eat some creeps, preferably mid lane. But one cautionary note before you take Lich to the mid lane, if you eat too much range creeps, it'll actually allow the enemy mid to double wave your mid and potentially like play aggressively or get a kill. So be careful with that. Heroes that can't tank creep well, like Invoker, or can't deal with a double wave, maybe you want to avoid eating their creeps mid. Maybe just eat the first creep, or if not, just go to the off lane. Morphling can deal with the creep wave pretty well because he has good damage and attack speed at level 1. Not the best, but definitely better than Invoker can, right? So you gotta think about that real quick and what lane you can help support. Really don't take him the safe lane if you can avoid it, but sometimes you'll have to, and if you are, just don't pull. Make sure you don't do that and you're gonna be good. So that's really all you need to know about Lich to get that free MMR, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and leave a like down below if you found use from this video. And other than that, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.